Logging encourages the entry of landless migrants who have been driven off the land elsewhere, such as this man whose previous kaingin plot was bulldozed by a timber company owned by Gopansuy.
Bakit nyo kailangan sunugin ang lugar na to?
Ay amin nga pong lilinisin at amin tataniman ng palay. At yung pagka ano po ng palay, amin lang tataniman ng kamote, kasaging. Hindi po lang amin kung dito. Tataniman po ng mga halaman.
Paano nyo napili itong lugar na to?
Ay, binigay po sa amin itong talaga na yung magsusukat na yung pong glaring reform daw yun.
Logging and kaingin are a deadly combination, accelerating the destruction of the watershed. In a vast area in this forest, Gopansuy is also planning to set up a dairy farm.
Kung i-implement ni Gopansuy yung kanilang program na magkakaroon yata sila dyan ng dairy farm tied up with some businessmen in Taiwan. Now, kung magkakatotoo yan, of course, they will be putting up some kind of road network.
Yeah.
Once na magkaroon ng road network sa area, nandiyan na lahat. Parang termites yan Once na nakakita ng kahoy, papasok at papasok yan.
Once you set the pattern in motion, once you clear one small area, those heavy typhoon rains coming in, they'll ease out whole segments of it and send it down. Here in the Gabandon Valley, we have a lot of rice land and various other vegetables grown. And it's being affected by drainage here. The water's running out here, there's a loss of land. That corresponds to here on the map. And most people look up at the hills and they see the dry area here during the summer and they think it's terrible. And they see some forest behind and they think we must protect that. But the problem is not so much here. It's behind these hills. You've got to go up behind them and you begin to see what's happening up here. There's a total loss of vegetation, massive landslides, which can't be dealt with by merely reforesting. When there's a massive storm that comes in here, and this is the typhoon zone, all of these rivers, because of the drainage pattern, so all the water gets down to a central point at the same time. So there's a tremendous build-up of water, and it just pours out into the Dupinga lowlands where there's no channel to keep it in position, and it just decimates the agricultural land. They also lose a continuous water supply. That in the dry season, there isn't the water up here in the mountains that's slowly seeping into the soil and into the ground and oozing out through the springs and the smaller streams. It's already flown out. So they've lost their water, they've lost their land, they've lost part of their crops. And they're entering into now, not the dry season, wet season, but they're entering into the flood and the drought season.
In different ways, concerned communities are taking matters into their own hands. In Gabaldon, the church-based group that leads the annual Good Friday processions stopped the passage of logging trucks in August of 1990 by lying in the middle of the highway. Soon after, the same group camped out for 9 weeks in front of the Department of Environment and Natural Resources to drive home their message. In the aftermath of the tragedy in Ormoc, students protested at the Mendiola Bridge near Malacanang. At a Quezon City protest in support of a commercial log ban, smaller children and their parents have seen the links between the future and the state of the country's forests.
Implement total log ban. That's it. When we save trees, we save our children.
In a rare show of solidarity, farmers and other citizens from Cagayan traveled to Congress in 1991 to support a military man, General Orlando Soriano, in his fight against politicians involved in illegal logging. But they were asked to leave the meeting hall where the congressmen were arguing the case with the general. They were prohibited from displaying their posters outside. Having traveled several hundred kilometers to deliver their message to national leaders, these people went away unheard. While politicians debate the solutions, loggers and those who come after them are carving away our future. This doesn't seem to change much despite disastrous consequences. In Ormoc, Leyte, private landowners denuded the watershed so it could no longer hold back the heavy rains. In late 1991, floods in the city killed thousands of people, almost half of them residents of a river sandbar called Isla Verde.
8,000 people were washed out to sea. That somehow did not have an adequate impact on society or on government, because people are moving back into Isla Verde. They're building old shacks again because all the land around is owned. It's owned by sugar families and it's owned by the political elite of the area.
Up to now, landowners in Ormoc are resisting pleas to reforest the slopes and sacrifice some of their profitable sugar lands. There is often this official attitude that the sanctity of licenses and private ownership over what nature gave us must be respected at all costs, even at the expense of entire communities. But considering the damage already done to our environment, placing doubts over the system that permitted it may be the least that we can do.